What stands out in your mind from that F1 test now that you've had a little time to digest?
That's a tricky one. No, probably the one bit which stands out in my mind is my first lap out of the pits on day one. I came accelerated off the pit limiter into turn one. I wasn't going flat out at this point, as obviously it's my first time in the 2017 car. And I pressed on the brakes and my whole body just kind of threw myself forward. Even though I knew how much to expect, it still thoroughly shocked me that, God blimey, the brakes, the power on this car is just on another world compared to anything I've ever experienced. And that first lap, that outlap, took me by surprise with just how much G-force and downforce there is on these cars.
In terms of how hard you were using the brakes by the end of the test, what would you give yourself out of, say, 100?
Probably 95% really. Obviously the job I was there to do was to be consistent, give good feedback, keep the car on the road, and pounding the laps really. I wasn't there to go out and set lap times. I didn't need to put the car right on the limit as if I would do in a qualifying lap. So even though I was really pushing to the limit, I still had a bit in reserve because, like I said, I was there to do a job, and the job was to complete the test.
What did you think of the halo when you ran it in Hungary?
When they initially announced the halo, I wasn't a massive fan at all really. Obviously the visual effects are pretty poor from the outside. But after driving with it in Budapest, my opinion has changed slightly really. I was quite looking forward to driving with it, just to voice my opinion on it. Let's say my negative opinion on it. But after driving with it, the visibility from inside the cockpit was more than fine. I didn't really feel like it restricted my vision at all. So I've kind of looked at it in a different way now. I think it's going to be one of those things that after a year or two of people complaining and moaning about it, you'll just forget about it. And I think it's a similar situation to the T-wing on the engine covers at the moment. Remember, everybody at the start of the season were complaining about, what is this? It looks stupid, really ugly. I know Christian Horner voiced his opinion quite heavily over this. But now you don't even notice they're on the cars. You just kind of accept it and you move on. And I feel like that's going to be the halo. Obviously, it's not the final design of the halo yet. And I'm sure they'll try and make it look a bit more beautiful, let's say, and also safer. So I'm sure it's just going to have to be a period in Formula One where you have to accept it, move on, and you won't even know it's there in a few years' time.
You're relatively tall. How difficult or not was it getting in and out with the halo?
I think being tall actually helped me get in and out, to be fair. Obviously, I've got to get in the car, you've got to lift your leg over the halo, which is a good 30 centimetres higher than where the headrest would be. So I think it's going to be more difficult for the smaller drivers to get in and out. But no, like I say, it was difficult the first time, but after a few runs with it, it was fine.